Here's James in Ocean City, Maryland. It's great that you waited, sir. Thank you for your patience. Hello.
Hey, Rush, how are you?
Good. Thank you, sir.
Hey, I got a question and then some follow-up statements, if you could bear with me.
All right.
My first question is, as we stand right now, does Iran have the ability to make a nuclear weapon? Right now, without any U.S. involvement, do they have the ability to make one?
Everything I understand, the answer is yes.
So my statement would be, if they have the ability to make one, why not get this deal going, and then that way we can at least mediate it in one way or another. I know the deal may not sound good, you know, being beat up by the media every day in and out, but... What
do you mean mediate? Mediate what?
Well, I mean, like no offense, but yourself, and you know, it's like Fox. No Republican likes this deal because maybe it's a difference of opinion, but nobody likes Obama. So whatever he comes up with, regardless, they're not going to see the other side of it. But why is it a bad thing that if we're going to stick our nose in it, let's do it, and then we can have, you know, legal terms, if you will, for people to go over there and inspect, and then we can put a hold on how much they're allowed to have and what they're allowed to do versus them having it regardless, and we have no control over what they do with it. Why is it a bad thing?
Well, let me see if I understand here. Since they can build a bomb, we should go ahead and let them build a bomb.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying
and then inspect them.
Now, with no U.S. involvement, they have the ability to build a bomb. So, and nobody wants them to have a bomb. I'm not disagreeing with that means by all means. But why not, if we're going to get involved, which I believe is what Obama is trying to do, if we're going to get involved, let's be able to mediate how fast that they can have a turnover rate or whatever that is called to be able to actually arm bomb. And then have inspectors go in there and inspect and say, okay, this facility is not capable of making nuclear weapons, and so on and so forth, versus them just having the ability to do it. Because they're not going to agree to a term to say, okay, yeah, we're not going to build one, and you guys can come in here and inspect and this and that. We have to be able to say, okay, they can still kind of do it over here, but we're going to make sure that they can. And instead of the turnaround being we're going to make it 6 months.
How are we going to make sure they can't? What are we going to do?
Well, if we have people over there that, like they said, inspectors. Let's have inspectors go over there and inspect. That's more than what we're doing now.
Inspectors don't do anything. Inspectors don't. They just inspect, and half the times they miss it. But even if they find violations, they can't do anything about it other than report it.
Well, I mean, that's more than what we're doing now, correct? It's in saying that...
No, that's not more than what we're doing now. We've lifted sanctions. We are enabling them to get even more material necessary to develop and enrich their uranium to weaponize it. We're saying that they're going to have one in 10 to 13 years, and that go back to opposition to this has nothing to do with it being opposed to Obama. Opposition to this is rooted in the concept that there are good guys and bad guys in the world, and they're the bad guys. And they are Iran with a nuclear weapon is not good for the world. It's not good for anybody in the world. They have not proven themselves to be in the peaceful club of nations in the world. They are state sponsors of terrorism. Their own words, they have promised to eliminate that country, this country. They've promised all kinds of horrible things. But you, if I'm understanding you right, since they can do it anyway without our involvement, we shouldn't stop them, but we should mediate and we should inspect, and we should. I don't know what we do when we find that we already know they've got one. We are facilitating them getting a bomb. We are essentially facilitating their quest to have a nuclear weapon. Since you called and bring this up, I've got a couple stories on this that I think I want to share with you. The first one here is from the Iranian president, whose name is Hassan Rouhani. And this is from the Washington Free Beacon. Iran has described an agreement to curb its nuclear program as not acceptable days after the U.S. hailed it. So Hassan Rouhani is saying that this new framework deal isn't acceptable. Following the announcement of a framework accord, the U.S. describes a major step in rolling back Iran's nuclear work The leaders in Tehran began to accuse the regime of lying about the deal's parameters. Okay, so that's Rouhani. Now, from Breitbart, John Hayward. Headline, Iran's humiliation of Obama continues. Sanctions must end instantly when deal signed. This is something new that has been discovered. John Hayward, let me read from his piece here. Yesterday, I said that Iran was going to humiliate Obama as much as possible by tearing up his, quote, historic arms control deal, unquote, in his face, one paragraph at a time, secure in the knowledge that Obama's pathological inability to admit mistakes or error will compel the regime to make excuses and try to keep the deal alive. Boy, is that right on the money. The Iranians know this guy better than he knows himself. They know he cannot ever admit error. He's a narcissist. It's impossible. In his own mind, he can't ever be wrong. In his own mind, he cannot ever have screwed up. In his own mind, he cannot ever have made a mistake. And so no matter what happens to this deal, if it continues to get torn apart, Obama will do anything, any concession, whatever, to keep it alive, because he can never arrive at the point where he would have to admit that it's a bad thing to have done. And here's a pull quote. The worst thing about this farce, assuming it ends with sanctions restored and Obama babbling about how the Iranians messed up his beautiful deal, is that it always involved conceding legitimacy, precious legitimacy to this terror state. Iran was not required to make any concessions in its fanaticism. It was not required to make any concessions in its embrace of terrorism. It was not required to make any concession in its hatred of Israel, nor even its hatred of America. They were put on a glide path to nuclear weapons in 10 years or less without agreeing to anything that would contradict the silly story they've been peddling for years about how they just want peaceful nuclear energy for civilian consumption. And they couldn't even play nice for a couple of months and promote the fiction until they got the deal signed. All they had to do was give Obama his little day in the sun for 3 months until June, but they couldn't even hold back. They had to go out and brag that they had snookered Obama. They had to go out and brag and say that Obama's lying about it. They're unwilling to throw Obama even the smallest of public relations bones because they don't have to. He is now stuck. He cannot ever walk this back because he cannot ever admit that he might have made a mistake or his negotiators did or what have you. So from this day forward, whatever the truth of this thing is going to be made up and obfuscated by the regime because he must be covered up for. Tom in Tempe, Arizona, thank you for calling. It's great to have you on the EIB network. Hello.
Hello. I have a question. Very simply, I'd like to know where in this so-called framework or agreement or what have you, there's a paragraph or 2 or 3 that says that once we do away with the sanctions and the money starts flowing into the coffers of the Iranian leaders, what precludes them from going out and buying a bomb? Forget about building one. I would think those people are hell-bent on. I would think Obama is hell-bent on having a deal, lifting the sanctions, and there'll be no snapback. I mean, I think that's
Look,
go on. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I think we're getting a little bit deeper in the weeds than we need to get on this, where Obama is concerned. Obama's not thinking about things like that. He clearly, Tom, is not troubled with Iran getting a nuclear weapon. He's not troubled by it. Now, he said he was in a speech in 2013 at the Brandenburg Gate in Germany, but he's done a 180 on that. He's openly said 10 years from now, 13 years from now, they're going to nuke up, that they promise they're going to keep developing nuclear, but they're going to stay a year away. He's not troubled by it. Obama is many things. As a narcissist, as a first African-American president, historic, There's this legacy. Believe me, it matters. And right there on that legacy, first president to strike an agreement with the nation of Iran on nuclear weapons. It doesn't matter what the agreement is. Of all the presidents we've had, all these so-called great presidents that we've had, Reagan, Nixon, Bush, Clinton, I don't care, you name them, FDR, who's the guy that got it done? Barack Hussein Obama. Who's the guy that had the guts to go about it a different way from the way everybody's going about it for 100 years? Barack Hussein Obama. Same token. Every civilized country in the world has had socialized medicine for its people for decades. The United States was a holdout until Barack Hussein Obama, the first president to bring the United States into the 21st century by securing for its people nationalized health care, affordable health care for all Americans. Barack Hussein Obama. No matter the details, no matter whether Iran is an aggressive, doesn't matter. Obama doesn't care about the details of Obamacare. It doesn't give a rat's rear end. What matters, he's the first guy, the only guy that did it. Back after this. So now, Obama meeting with a Jamaican prime minister says that the deal's not done till it's done. And we won't know for the next 2 or 3 months. What? The deal's not done till it's done? What happened? What happened? Okay, have to hustle here. Have to hustle. The Ayatollah Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran, has just announced that the United States is lying about the deal, and there might not even be a deal. This comes on the heel of the president, Hassan Rouhani, essentially saying the same thing. But now the Ayatollah Khamenei is in there. There is no deal. Obama's lying about the deal. Now, you might say, they're of course going to say that. Obama's backing off, too. Obama talking with the Prime Minister of Jamaica, Portia Simpson Miller. Here, grab soundbite 26. I know I told you soundbite 1, but grab 26. This is Obama this afternoon in Kingston, Jamaica. They got some great golf courses there. I'm sure that's why he's there. Well, it says he's in Kingston. Is he in Kingston? It's a Caribbean. It's a golf course. I'm sure it's a golf outing. Anyway, here's what he said. Listen fast.
As I've said from the start, this is not done until it's done.
Really?
And the next 2 to 3 months of negotiations are going to be absolutely critical for making sure that we are memorializing an agreement that gives us confidence and gives the world confidence that Iran, in fact, is not pursuing a nuclear weapon.
You told no. Last week you told us you already accomplished that. Am I wrong about that? He told us last week you already accomplished that. All we just had to do technical things. Yeah, I had to dot the I's and cross the T's and do that next 3 minutes. He already told us. We got a framework for that. Now, even he's backing off. The Ayatollah Khamenei says there is no deal. U.S. is lying about the deal. Might not even be a deal. Obama said, hey, as I've said from the start. No, he hasn't said from the start. He says not done till it's done. Next 2 to 3 months are going to be absolutely critical. Well, let's see if we can get some of this straightened out with John Kerry, who served in Vietnam, last night on the NewsHour on PBS with Judy Woodruff. She said, is it correct to say that this is really not about denying Iran a nuclear weapon, but about delaying the day they get one?
Absolutely not. Not in the least. No, it is not just about that. It is about denying them a nuclear weapon. This is a guarantee that for the next 15 to 20 years, they won't possibly be able to advance that program.
Wait a second.
They become a more legitimate member of the non-proliferation community.
Look, I don't have enough time to stop this. We're going to, no, it's not about that. It's about denying them a nuclear weapon. This is a guarantee. This is a guarantee that for the next 15 to 20 years, they won't possibly be able to. It's a guarantee that they won't possibly be able to advance the program. This is embarrassing stuff. No wonder Henry Kissinger's worried. It was 13 years. Now it's 15 to 20. By the way, you know, when you get down to the Ayatollah Khamenei and these guys, they don't care. They play the long game, just like the Soviets used to play the long game. We do things in 4-year cycles here, but they play the long game. They've already got the. Here's the next, Kerry. What's the next question? You know, this is CBS this morning, you know the concerns that by lifting sanctions, it means a stronger, more capable Iran, and that in turn that means a stronger, more capable Hezbollah, Assad, and Houthi rebels in Yemen. So what about all that?
The sanctions were put in place to bring them to negotiations. That was the entire purpose. So now that they've negotiated and they have an agreement, people can't complain and say, oh my gosh, if they comply with all the things they said they're going to do that we wanted them to do, we're going to now not lift them. It doesn't work. There's no equation there. It just simply doesn't work.
I have no idea. We've got to get Marie Harf to straighten this out, which she did yesterday afternoon at the State Department.
Yep, but he was referring to a scenario in which there was no deal. I've talked to my colleagues at the White House. They have made very clear on the record, as have I, that he was referring to a scenario in which there is no deal. That is what the truth is here. If he could have said it more clearly, that's a different issue. So he was talking about a scenario in which there is no deal. I know you all wish he had been clearer when he said that, and I'm sorry if it's not clear from the transcript. That is what he was talking about.
She has doubled down, telling everybody that Obama was mixed up and did not say what he meant. So she's making it worse. She's out there apologizing for Obama, who is not being clear about what he means, but she knows, so we are to trust her. Marie Harf, one more soundbite yesterday afternoon at the State Department. She's the acting spokesperson now because her boss, Jen Psaki, went over to the White House. And it's her daily press briefing. And Matt Lee of the AP says, look, could you explain something to us? Why would Obama even mention 13 or 14 or 15 years or Kerry? Why would they do this if they're talking about a scenario where there is no agreement? Now, why would
that's the White House, Matt. I can't parse this much further for you.
I'm not the only one who's confused about this.
Done all I can on this, Matt. I cannot be more clear about this. He was referring to a scenario in which there is no deal. It may not be clear in the transcript. I'm telling you what my colleagues at the White House have told me he was referring to. I admit that it could have been clear in the transcript, but I am conveying to you what he was attempting to convey.
There is total confusion, even in the drive-by media that so desperately wants Obama to look good on this. They don't understand what's going on. Obama is out there announcing the conditions of the deal, and Marie Harf of the State Department goes, no. He was speaking as if there is no deal. What you heard him say, he was speaking hypothetical if there is no deal. Well, the reporters didn't hear him say that. He didn't say that. And in case there's no deal, this is what's going to happen. She's just saying that's what he meant. And she's really getting frustrated with the question, so now she's dumping it on the White House. Hey, look, I went to the White House. I needed clarification on this myself. I went to the White House, and they told me. What all this? Obama went off the rails. Obama went off prompter. That's what happened here. He went off prompter in discussing this. And that's why you talk to Kerry, there's one interpretation of what's happened. You talk to Obama, there's another. And Marie Harf, who thinks she's smarter than both of them, has now got to try to put it all back together.